Hey guys, I'm MikroTik Marc with Admiral Platform for Centralized MikroTik Management, and today I wanted to provide an update for our popular Firewall Best Practices video, where we talked about how to use an optimal filtering strategy to keep the firewall facility resources on your MikroTiks at a low level. If you haven't seen that video yet and want to check it out, click here, or you can search it up on our channel. It's called Security Best Practices, Firewall Filtering with MikroTik Marc. So one of the things we got feedback on from the first video is that if this MikroTik provides domain name services, or DNS, the firewall filtering from the previous video would block your customers from being able to get DNS resolution. And that's important. If you're blocking your users from being able to provide DNS to your downstream devices, that's the customers of your network, your configuration will make the internet feel broken because solid DNS was critical to having a great quality experience for your users. So let's take a look at how to ensure that DNS queries can be answered by this MikroTik and what we consider the best firewall filter and address list strategy to keep your TIC clean and optimized, but while still being able to provide amazing service to your customers. So let's get logged back into our MikroTik, and first thing we're going to do is make sure that this MikroTik can answer for DNS on your network. And the way you do that is by heading over here to IP DNS, and here we've got some settings. The big thing to look for here is this allow remote requests. So last time we had a MikroTik that was pretty well locked down, and sometimes you may host your own DNS servers. In this case, we're going to use the MikroTik to allow DNS clients of this MikroTik to be able to resolve domain names. Now we're going to take a look at the IP firewall filter. And currently, I would not be allowing DNS traffic because I have a couple of remote Winbox Admiral centralized MikroTik management rules here. You can see an input for established related that allows for traffic this MikroTik sends out to the internet to allow it to come back for stuff like VPN connections, NTP and DNS queries from this router. And then we've got our allow trusted from the last video, a drop invalid, a allow ICMP and capsman. And then here our rule number 8 is drop everything else on the input chain. So no one else besides these address lists that are listed here, which are my RFC 1918 private IP address space, can talk to this MikroTik for any reason. So what we got feedback from on the last video was that if you have a subnet that is not part of the RFC 1918 space, perhaps you provide lots of public IPs to your MikroTiks, those public IP MikroTiks may not be able to get, and they wouldn't be able to with the current configuration, be able to get DNS queries answered from this MikroTik. So if you're not hosting your own DNS servers, you may want to come in here and say, this MikroTik is providing DNS, and I want to allow that traffic. So here's how you do that. It's really quite simple. We just add a new address list here. We're going to call this address list customer DNS. And you're going to plug in here the subnets that your customers actually get. So in my case, I'm going to say 100, 100, 100.0/24 as an example. You would put your public IP address space here for customer DNS. And once we have that guy applied, we can now use him over in our firewall filter. So our next step is to add a firewall filter that says, hey, on the input chain, again, traffic coming to this MikroTik, when its protocol UDP and its dest port is 53, and that's DNS traffic here. When we see this kind of traffic from, and this is dependent on whether you're using RouterOS 6 or 7, on 7, you may find that on certain firmwares, the source address list is part of the general tab. On RouterOS 6, which is what this MikroTik is on, it'll be under advanced. But you want to find the source address list, and we're going to make that the customer DNS. So basically what we're saying here is when you see traffic come to this MikroTik and it's DNS traffic from our customer DNS allowed folks, we're going to accept that traffic. So I'm going to add a comment here of allow customer DNS, hit OK. And now this rule got created at the bottom. I'm going to drag that up above rule number 8, where our drop everything happens. And now at this point, typical scenario, you'd be able to allow your customer DNS queries to be answered by this MikroTik. Now, one more rule should get added here just for completeness. It's pretty typical. This will cover 99% of DNS queries, but just in case, go ahead and come in here, and for special conditions, you can add the TCP connection also for 53, which is another type of DNS update. So with those two rules, TCP and UDP 53 allowed, you can add as many subnets to this address list as you need to for your customers. And at this point, customers can now successfully get DNS resolution from your MikroTik. So I want to thank you all for watching this video, and don't forget, like and subscribe, and be sure to visit admiralplatform.com, where you can get more tips and tricks and also learn about our centralized MikroTik management software. We'll see you next time.